Hey you guys, just wanted to give you a little bit of an update. It's been, I think, about a week and a half since the last video. Not a whole lot has changed. Well, I take that back. Okay, so the last video I was talking about my reinspection, which I failed because the seller did not complete what I consider like a really minor repair, which is to replace 2 outlets in the kitchen that are not working. But they agreed to do it. They put it in the contract, they are like obligated to do it. So I'm trying to make them do it because I've compromised on a lot of things when it comes to this house in terms of what I'm prepared to take on financially myself in order to get it in the condition that I want to get it in. So I'm just like, something as minor as 2 outlets, it's like, they should be able to do that. They fixed one of them but didn't fix the other 2. So during the last inspection, I was at the house with the inspector when he did the reinspection, and we discovered that one of the AC units is not working. So we notified the seller. We notified them that I think the date was July 8th. We notified them that there were 2 outlets that weren't repaired, and we notified them that the AC was not working. So fast forward a few days, July 12th was supposed to be my initial closing date. Now on July 12th, for some reason, the seller's reaching out asking, when are we closing? Like, what time are we closing? And it's like, we can't close until this repair is made. And so I'm working with OfferPad to buy my home. They are trying to act like they're not familiar with NACA when that isn't the case. OfferPad has closed tons of NACA deals. We found out they're just pretending like they don't know. I guess thinking we're going to overlook these repairs. Like, the house cannot get cleared. We cannot move forward until they make this freaking repair. So the air conditioning situation was actually not on the inspector's report, because when he did the initial inspection, the house was cool. Everything was working fine. It wasn't an issue. So he can't technically address or put things in his report moving forward that wasn't there initially. So we've been trying to get the seller to fix the AC. So we finally heard back on Monday. Okay, so back up just a little bit. So with the 12th being my closing day, and of course we were not closing, I had mentioned that I have this $50 contingency for every day that we are late with closing. Well, fortunately, I got an extension until July 31st. And then they also waived the late fees up to July 21st. They said I would have to start paying late fees as of the 22nd, because they felt like within a week they could go ahead and get the repairs made. And then after that, if there were delays, it would be my fault. Understood. We signed on it, agreed. So the bank side, even though I submitted my application kind of late in the game, I didn't submit my bank app till July 2nd, and I went under contract June 8th. So almost a month later, after being under contract, I finally submitted my bank app. But when I tell y'all, the bank has been moving, honestly, the only negative experience I've really had with this situation, with the whole going under contract thing, is the situation with my mortgage counselor, who basically sat on my file and didn't submit, being held up in credit access, and then issues that I'm personally having with my realtor. Outside of that, I will say NACA has actually been really easy to communicate with. They've been very responsive. Hand department has been easy to communicate with. They have been very responsive. So, you hear these NACA horror stories, and for me, my personal experience, my horrors aren't coming from the hand department. My horrors are not coming from the bank. It's coming from now the seller, my realtor, and previously with my mortgage counselor. So the bank has really been moving. They actually tentatively scheduled my closing date for next Friday. All conditions have been addressed with the bank. The only reason why I do not have an underwriter clear to close is because my house needs 2 outlets replaced. Like, 2 outlets is holding up my process. So for me, You know, I reached out to my hand specialist to ask her if there was any way I could go back and just waive those repairs, because I don't want outlets to be the reason why I continue to be delayed. But that AC's got to be fixed. That is a deal breaker for me. I don't care how close we are to closing. I don't care how close we are to the finish line. If they don't fix this air, I'm looking at my thermostat in my car right now. It is 91 degrees. I am not buying a house with a broken air conditioner. Like, it's just not happening. They can either choose to credit me at the closing table to give me money to fix it, or they're going to have to fix it themselves. So that's kind of where I'm at with my process. The bank has been awesome. I'm pretty much getting stuff in the mail every single day about my loan. I've got my initial loan disclosure on the 11th of July. Now, I know that that's going to change. I've actually received a few, and each time I get it, the numbers change, and they will change when it comes to cash to close, what I have to bring to close, because they make you pay interest on the number of days left in the month, depending on when you close. So like if you close at the end of the month, then you have less fees and interest that you have to pay, or no fees at all. So that amount will change, but surprisingly still, my mortgage payment, I know that I mentioned in the last video that because I had to contribute to buy down, my mortgage payment was going to be less than I thought. Well, guess what? My mortgage payment is going to be even less than that. So they did go in, adjusted my taxes. I don't know how this is happening. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to accept it and receive it. But my mortgage payment is now going to be like $115 less than what my approved payment amount was and what I thought I was going to spend. So that's just super awesome. So honestly, I can't really say that I've had a terrible time with NACA once going under contract. My biggest hurdle was credit access with that one mortgage counselor, but everything else has been great. I've been pleasantly surprised with the communication when it comes to hand, and I've been surprised when it comes to the communication with my closing coordinator, because I've read that, you know, people can't get their closing coordinator to respond, and the closing coordinator is who takes over after your mortgage counselor submits your bank app. You start to deal with someone else. She's basically or that person will basically address whatever conditions you have from the bank. It will no longer be your mortgage counselor. So things have been great. Like, I'm just frustrated about this outlet. And honestly, at this point, we could even get the inspector to, because he's a good friend of the realtors, we could even get him to do another reinspection and just say the outlets are done. I probably shouldn't be saying that in this video. But I did reach out to my hand specialist. We are trying to get that repair waived. And we're also continuing to reach out to the seller, because they said Monday somebody was supposed to go over there and fix the AC, and somebody was supposed to go over there and fix the outlet. So these things actually may be done, and we're just not aware of it. But I will say I went over to the house yesterday and I looked at the outside unit. It was not working. The fan is not working on the outside unit, but the thermostat was on in the house. So I know for a fact they did not fix the air. So I am hoping for good news within the next maybe 24 hours, 20 to 48 hours regarding this AC, because that will be the deal breaker. It's kind of frustrating because it's like you get excited because I'm getting emails and notifications about closing and closing disclosures. These are the final pieces with closing on my home, and the bank is waiting. The bank is waiting on hand to clear my house. There's nothing else that needs to be done. All conditions have been addressed and have been addressed for a week. Nothing else has come up. So it's unfortunate. I would probably have my underwriter clear to close. I actually received an email saying that once they get clearance from hand, it takes 48 hours to get my underwriter clear to close, and it takes another 24 to 48 hours to get my final clear to close after they do my employment verification. So I could absolutely be closing on my house next Friday, as long as we can get this house cleared through hand by this probably by this week, because I think you have to wait 3 days after you get your final disclosure. But I don't know. I've been kind of receiving things sooner than what they said I would receive them. So we'll see what happens. But that's where I'm at. So I will be back if anything changes. Otherwise, I could potentially have the keys in my hand next Friday. So that's exciting. So I will be back and I will give you an update later. All right. See you guys later.